right, everybody, welcome back to the Mindset Matters channel. I am your host, Kevin Anytime. This is my boy, Zach, and this is where we talk about different mindset topics. And so, if you are interested in mindset, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. And then, if you find value from the information that we're about to give to you, make sure you share this with somebody, okay? Because that really helps us out. We appreciate it. All right, so we're going to get right into it. The topic we have for you today is self love. All right. What is it? And we got three things we're going to go over, okay, about that. And so, what is love to you is one thing we're going to ask. Another thing we're going to ask is, how do you show love to others? And then the last thing we're going to question is, how do you show yourself love? Right. So, as we dive into this topic, initially, it's important to figure out what what is love? Like, what is love to you? I think everybody has a different definition. And that's why in the program, I have you ask that to yourself because your definition is going to be completely different from somebody else's. It may be the same, but I've found by asking different questions to different people that there are a variety of different ways that people think they should be loved or display love or what have you. So, Zach, I'm gonna ask you now, what what is love to you?
Yeah. And I wanna say this too. So this is the part in the program. Well, it's the water part of the program. So you got earth, fire, wind, or sorry, air, water, and water is the love side. What is love to me? So I always go back to the Bible when I think about love. I think about First Corinthians 13:4. I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but it is the verse that starts with love is patient, love is kind, talks about love doesn't boast, talks about love does not support or can encourage injustice, several things. I always go back to that because that is what real love is. Um, and, I think there is a um, there's a false sense of what love is, especially in the world today, specifically in the US. And I think that Hollywood um, has kind of like watered that down. Like, people, and not just Hollywood, to be honest, but also um, people that are like, let's say they're abused, or they feel like maybe they're abused as kids. They feel like love is this, like, it's like the tough love kind of thing.
Mm,
And then they get into relationships later in their life, and it's kind of like that. Maybe they're physically or verbally abused, and that's what they think love is. And that's not necessarily what love is meant to be. Maybe that's their definition. But to me, I always go back to that verse in the Bible, First Corinthians 13:4. What about you, Kev? What is love to you?
yeah, actually, that's probably the, if you want to define it for sure, that's definitely the most accurate in the biblical description of love, for sure. Um, when you really try to personalize it, to you and to me, I'll say to me and what I think love is, it's definitely someone who seeks to understand. I think that's a very loving thing, even though some things may be irritating or some things may be hard to um, define as far as what it means when somebody does something that another person may or may not like. Um, for me, I think that love is being, if I could simplify it, it's being willing to work through difficult times with another individual. It could be a friend, it can be a coworker, it could be a company, it could be, you know, your significant other.
Mhm.
With the case, I feel like the willingness to work is really, really a loving quality to have, because even myself, I felt at times that it's better to quit. It's better to just be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm totally done with this. But being willing to work in the best way to try and understand each other, I think is the greatest love, man. You know, to me, I obviously mention a lot that I believe Jesus showed he did. He just showed the freaking love that it's next to impossible to attain, man. You know,
Yeah.
to the simple facts. It's funny because these people, especially with the comment that I sent, it's like people get so mad at dude. Even if he's a fictional character, dude. I don't believe that. But I
Yeah.
try to bring everything into a very broadened, you know what I mean, like way of looking at things. Because there are
Mhm.
fictional characters that I look to that I'm like, yo, I appreciate what they do, who designed
Uh-huh.
what they did, the quotes they have, stuff like that. Right? Right? People quote Yoda, people quote Avengers, people quote a
All the
lot,
time. Yeah.
and those are all fictional characters, but it was designed by someone.
Right.
So get the idea of what they're trying to, and that's where I'm like, hands down, there's no way you can really be upset at this dude. Like, what would make you mad about his story? It makes zero sense to me, man, because it's the most loving that anybody will ever show. uh so to me, when I try to explain it to maybe atheists or something like that, it's like, if you look at it fundamentally like that,
Mhm.
isn't it isn't it pretty undeniable that that's, even if, say, let's say a man created this guy and created this whole idea out of his mind, okay, let's say he did.
Mhm.
However, isn't that still one of the greatest ways to improve life itself if everybody decided to go in that direction?
Right.
It's undeniable. It's undeniable that, so that, I don't know, that kind of confuses me, man. But Jesus is one of the greatest. No, he's the greatest display of that out of anything, out of any superhero, out of any story we've ever heard of or seen. So yeah, that's to me, that's the epitome of it. That's the height. That's the end all be all, is him still being able to say, you know, they don't know what they're doing. It's
Yeah.
it's like, in a way, you know that, but then to even be able to say that, but to still understand that, hey, you need to be accountable for your own actions, but to
Right.
still be like, but I do know deep down they really don't get it, is a different that's just a different level of love, man. And something that I really wish to aspire to, man, because it's very that's the most patient, the most kind, the most out of anything, because he can full on have retaliated being innocent, you know, full
Absolutely.
that stuff. So it's like, at the end of the day, man, come on now. So that's what love is to me. So guys, comment below if you feel, or what do you feel love is. Okay, comment below, what do you feel love is, and what does it mean to you, and let's have a discussion about it. All right, so the second point we want to go over is, how do you show love to others? And so this is a part in the program that has, it's labeled external love activities. And so this is something that I noticed about everyday life that I wanted to do, and I would have the thinking mind to do it, but it wasn't something that was structurally set up for me, which is what I believe us as human beings really need a lot of times, is a blueprint of sorts to be able to go in these specific directions, or a scheduling of sorts, so that we can actually execute on what's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
external love activities tells you to do basic things such as saying something nice to somebody you don't know, you know, helping out somebody that is or in your vicinity, or saying something nice to them. That's the general basis of what goes on inside of that particular module of the course. And so it gives you a focus of like, oh, okay, I need to do this for today, as opposed to it haphazardly happening, which could be very few and far between. But when you have a scheduled system that is like, hey, do this today, it puts it in the forefront of your mind, like, I got to get this done. So what if we all have,
100%.
right? And that's the premise of why that's in the program. Because I'm like, well, that's something that we need to be reminded to do, even though we know
Mm-hmm.
to do it. We don't do it all the time. So if you have something that kind of gives you that reminder, that gives you that encouragement to, hey, go do this, that will help you to do it. So to me, showing love to others is doing outside the norm stuff for a person, like paying it forward for the person behind you. Or even today, I drove past a car. It seemed like a car tire flew off or popped off or something like that. They were kind of in the middle of the road. I almost, and the discount tire place was right down the road. I almost wanted to go, like I did. I had the thought. I was like, I should go get out and be like, yo, let's push the car over to discount, man. And then, or ask them, you know, are they okay? Because they
Yeah.
seemed okay, but that was just the thought that I had, that I was like, that's, you know, because if it was me, I would love if somebody did that. That would be cool.
Right.
Uh, so that's to me, and just saying, you know, shooting a nice text, shooting a you know, a family member or a distant relative or something like that you haven't spoken in a long time, a message, I think are displays of love, to be able to really make someone feel something that you may not know what they're going through, or
Right.
what's happening in that time period. And so that was one of the main reasons why I was like, yeah, this needs to be in a program, because it's something that people need for their lives. They need to do this, and then the people in their life will appreciate it as well, and it will create a ripple effect. So that was my
Absolutely.
um what about you? What about you? Besides the stuff in the program, is there anything else? Well, yeah, uh, well, let me ask you: do you prepare cooking and stuff like that? Because I know you said you like cooking. Is cooking a way? Do you cook for like games or Super
Yeah.
Bowl, anything like that, to and bring people over?
Yeah. My wife and I cook, for our friends sometimes. Um, I mean, I cook dinner probably 3, 4 nights a week, man, probably closer to 3. Um, so that's definitely one way I show love. If we're at restaurants, like just like stacking plates and like throwing our drink glasses like up by the bar, just like so it's easier for them to clean up, like that kind of thing. Like just little things, like especially servers. I worked in the restaurant industry for a couple of years, and that it's just a little bit goes a long way with that.
Yeah,
So just doing like nice gestures for people. Um, I think even though it may seem small to you, people really, when you put a smile on somebody's face, that you don't know, like you said, you don't know what people are going through. So that could really, um, it could just help someone get through that day. Maybe they're having really negative thoughts. I tell you right now, the job that I currently have, I'm a health coach. I mean, multiple times a week, people will say, I needed to hear this, or like I had a lady I worked on Saturday, and she was like, I don't know. She was like, I've never really had a call like this, but she was like, you were just the voice that I needed to hear today. And I'm like, I pray too, that God uses me in some kind of way every day.
yeah,
So maybe that was that. Maybe that was that for her that day.
yeah,
Um, So that kind of thing. Um, and to be honest, I don't really. Um, I do think about it, but I don't think about it like, oh, I have to do this today. I know that the program is kind of like training your mind to do that, but I've been doing this for so long now that it's just like
Oh,
a habit.
right.
Um, and I'm just like, it brings, I think, um, it brings me joy to just like make somebody feel good. Um, it's something so simple. We can all do it. It doesn't take much effort. It's holding the door for somebody, you know. So those are just a few things that I do on a pretty much daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up, man. 'Cause that it's you know that like you said with the restaurant thing, even though we're doing that and it seems like it's on a smaller scale, it's like, but it goes a long way, man. You never know. Like even when I messaged, my guy, I was telling you earlier, I'm like, I do that. It's not because he's a part of the program or it's
Yeah,
because I'm like, okay, dude. Like, I mean, okay, the actually a small part of it is because of that, but at the same time, what we've created because he's in the program is a mutual bond, is a mutual respect, a mutual, hey, we're superheroes in this together. And,
right,
things I said was, dude, I know you out there saving the city. So it's cool. You know what I mean? Because I can feel the vibe of you. I know what type of person you are. And yes, we all
right.
fumble and make mistakes and get mad and all of that stuff. But I'm like,
Oh
at the
yeah,
core, I see you, dude. Like I know you out there. It's like we are real life superheroes, and that's again like we was talking about the work stuff in a previous video.
right,
That's that laid back. Like I'm not gonna hound you and be like, yo, but do this and do. It's like it's there. You know what's up. I'm just gonna make sure every so often when you come across my mind, I'm gonna message you because because I care, because I really want to see what's up. Hey, is everything going on? Is it, and then sometimes when I have asked, is it the program? Is it not good enough? Is it something that isn't really resonating with you? And it's like, oh no. Then it's like, okay, cool. Well, if it's not that,
right.
then I just want to check in and make sure you're good. Because you've told me multiple times. I'm not gonna keep on saying, is it, something wrong with the program? Something wrong, I
Right.
could do that every time. But once you say that one time, I'm good. I'm like, okay, now from here on out, I'm just gonna check on your well-being to see what's up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Hey, is everything okay? I just haven't heard you. I haven't seen you post. I'm just making sure you're good because that digital world is a different space. It's like, yeah, when you see people in there constantly, you kind of feel like, oh, okay, well, everything should be on the up and up, or everything's okay at least, even though
Right.
that's the case a lot of times. But when you don't, that's when it's like, okay, well, hey, I would at least see you here and there, posting some stuff, just making sure you're all right, man. And that's the type of, like you said, that's like, it's not a thought. It's just simply in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I have so many people I want to check in on, and I try
Yeah.
to compartmentalize who I can and when I haven't, and make sure that I get to them when that thought comes across, and just do that one, and then be like, okay, when another one comes across in my timeline, I'll know who I xed off for a specific amount of time, and I'll know who else I can reach out to see if they're okay if I hadn't heard from them.
Right.
So yeah, that's the type of stuff that I believe is good. But yeah, okay. So lastly, um, go ahead. Oh yeah, and another one, y'all. Shoot us a comment. How do you show love to others? Okay, how do you show love to others? We want to know because there's a variety of ways. We talked about cooking. We talked about saying nice things, holding the door open. What is your preferred method to show and extend love to others? Shoot us a comment and let's talk about it. All right. And so the last thing we want to talk about is how do you show love to yourself? Now this is really really important. Um,
Super
and
important.
I go a long time, so I'll just go first.
Go
to,
for it.
try to keep it short. Um, this to me is this is new actually. This is a new thing that I just found out about myself. To show myself love is to go to sleep, man. To literally allow myself to get some sleep, dude, because
Yep.
I get so wrapped up in edits sometimes that I will not go to sleep until it's finished because I'm so enthralled in the process. And lately there have been times where I'm like, dude, you gotta drop it. You gotta go back to it. Your sleep is important. You need that for your well-being, for your mental clarity, for everything. Show yourself some love. Don't worry too much about getting this done today and just save it for tomorrow. That's, I think for me, that was a new revelation because I was caught up in this culture of, just grind until you freaking can't no more.
Yep.
And that actually, I mean, I've been the healthiest I've ever been in a
Hmm.
long time. I used to be known for having allergies. I was known for being sick a lot. And because I've really dove into myself, into my health, into, how to properly show myself love,
Yeah.
that's what's helped me to be as healthy as I possibly can be. And I know a lot of that is my mental well being. If I'm not very rested, my mental well-being will allow my health to decline to where
Hmm.
my immune system will be weaker and I will be more susceptible to things. Even when, because I remember there was at one point, man, especially working at 3T, dude, I had minerals, I had um, a bunch of vitamins. And I probably at 3T is where I was eating my best, right? I was
Yeah.
eating really good. Um, but I was still getting sick. And it was because I was operating off of 3 and 4 hours of sleep on a regular basis, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I have to recognize this about myself. My body cannot deal with that. I don't think anybody's can, but I mean that's out for the jury to decide.
Yeah.
My thing was I want to preserve this as long as possible. And since it is a marathon, I'm going to take a note of that and I'm going to compromise like, you know what? Okay, the X might take longer to reach, but as far as how I will look physically and be mentally in that space
Hmm.
when you get there, that matters to me a lot. So do I want to be all run down by the time I get there and I'm like, oh yes, finally, and I can maybe retire or semi-retire? Or can I gradually get there and it maybe the goes a little further off into the distance, but by the time I get there, I'm still able to have fun with my son. I'm still able to be mentally focused on things. I'm
Right.
still look healthy. You know what I mean? Like that's important to me too. Is how I look and how I feel and being able to play basketball and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where self love for me really hit home when I was like, oh no, that's a part of you got to take care of yourself. It's good to reach out and to always be that helper and to grind for your job and get the money or whatever the case may be. But it all depends on how you view yourself, and that self love it will show you that if you ignore your own self and your body for money, it's gonna show up in your life some way. It's gonna show up in your health some way. You will be a
Yep.
sick person. You will be a more negative or darker seen type of individual. That's just the way it is, man. And so that's why I think it's really important to pay attention to that. And that's how I show myself love is by making sure I get some rest, man. But how about you?
Yeah, man. I like what you just said, because there's a quote about, um, you. I'm just piggybacking off what you said about, you want to work hard at your job, absolutely, but you should probably work harder on yourself, because honestly, at the end of the day, you're all that you have. I mean, obviously, you have family, friends, but when you're laying in bed at night, it's just you and your thoughts.
Right.
Um, and there's a quote that I heard, and I don't know who said it. And I may have said this in another podcast that we did, but it's self love, or yeah, self love and self care is not selfish.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that, and I noticed this during COVID, because of the job I work, I'm a health coach. I really have noticed that people have been more awakened to do things for themselves. Like a lot of moms out there that are like, man, I always do things for my husband and um, the kids. Like I was always putting myself on the back burner. So I know you asked about what I do for self love, but I'm just saying that self love is so important, emphasizing that.
100.
Um, what I do, there's a few things I do. Um, one is probably the most important one for me is I pray while walking. Um, so I take like anywhere from 3 to 5 walks a day, depending on the day, depending on the work day, that kind of thing. Um, but in one of those, I'm saying a prayer. Typically, that's the first one of the day. Um, it's just like, it's not like a workout or anything like that, which I do, but it's just time, like me, God, my thoughts. If I'm not praying, like it's just like so refreshing, and like especially, it just breaks up the day. So I do that. I play disc golf, which is like a form of self care to me. It's like something I love out in nature again. Um, I think that you bringing up health is super important. Sleep, I think, is massively important. I'm always one to go to bed, not like ridiculously early, but I try to get at least 7 hours of sleep every single night because
Yeah,
otherwise I just don't function the same. So those are a couple. I'm getting back into the gym, like lifting weights again.
okay.
Kind of took some time off from that, but I think that's another form because it's so good for your body.
Yeah,
Um, but having just like if I had to nail them down, I would say having some kind of prayer time. I read the Bible every day too, so that uh, with a walk, doing some form of workout, like a couple days a week, because I try to do some form of cardio pretty much every day. Um, but those things, just keeping yourself healthy and reading is probably my last one that I love to do. So, yeah, man, I think just finding one or two things that you can do on a daily basis it can shift your perspective on your life, honestly. And I think that I'm very happy that we're talking about this because I think that people, if they maybe they have heard it and they just need more affirming in that or reaffirming, and if they haven't heard it, you you guys out there need to get on the self-love train, because when you're actually feeling it and it becomes something that you bank on it. It's like second nature to you. It becomes a need in your life, and it's not like a bad need like an addiction. It's like something that it refreshes you. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. Yep. All right, guys. So comment. Have you been showing yourself love? All right. Is there uh, a self love practice that you have? Is it something that you are like, hey, this is what I do. I make sure I get this in. It's funny because even to mention, I hadn't watched because that's part of how I get my creative flow too, which I had to recognize that about myself. I hadn't watched any TV in, man, like episodes of stuff or even movies
Hmm.
a long time. And
Yeah.
as I'm now getting real deep in the editing and the angles and stuff like that, I
Right.
was I need to do some research. I need to look at some movies and kind of objectively look at for what the camera angles are and stuff like that. So I binge watched the season, man. I think on Saturday of the Flash, like the whole first season. And I was, oh man, for one, I was like, dude, this is really good.
Yeah.
But two, it was like I forgot how much I freaking enjoy capturing information like that, dog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, oh man, like his superhero, and then they show all the trials and tribulations he go through, and then the
Yeah.
plot twists and stuff that's in there. I was just like, oh my god, this show is amazing, dude. I was tripped out. I'm like, okay, this first season was hot, man. Like, and
Yeah.
it's when I get to that realm. It's just I need to be in that arena in some form
Right.
of, and there's just so many different things too, because it's like listening to the audiobooks, like you said, reading the Bible, that self-love, all of these things are loving towards you, improving you. That's self-love, period, improving yourself. And
Exactly.
just trying to keep track of that, man, is what the task is. It's just like really being accountable to yourself of what that is, even when you feel like, oh, I don't have time to show myself love, I don't have the time to, you know what I mean, you can run into that excuse for days, even months sometimes, and not realize how important it actually is. And so
Right.
that's just what we trying to hone in on, y'all. It's like that's why it's in the program, is because it's drawing awareness to the fact that, hey, these things are actually important. These things actually help me to feel healthier, to think more clear, to be more joyous in my lifetime, and run with that, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. But yeah. Did you have any closing remarks or anything?
One thing, and that is Tony Robbins says, if you don't have 10 minutes in your day, you don't have a life. And if you can't take 10 minutes to maybe pray or walk or do a short meditation or do some kind of like gratitude practice,
Yeah,
maybe just kind of take a step back and look at your life and say, what could I like do maybe first thing in the morning or right before I go to bed that would just feel good for me.
yeah.
Um, so 10 minutes, literally, that's all you need. So I just want to leave people with that.
Dude, that's wow. That's a powerful one, dude. If you don't have freaking 10 minutes for yourself, you do not have a life. That's crazy, man. It's so hard hitting and true
It
that,
is.
man, wow. Yeah. And sometimes, because sometimes I do that. Sometimes I go through the whole day and I'm like, what the heck? I didn't meditate, I didn't do nothing. I'm just like, I was
Yep.
just working on stuff, like just working on stuff, trying to fix stuff, trying to put out fires, like that's all I was doing. And so that really hits home for me, and us as entrepreneurs. It's like that's how it can go sometimes. And you got to remember how important this is, like to actually have a life at the same time,
Yep.
even trying to grind for the ultimate goal of whatever that may be for watching and stuff like that. But yeah, man, that's what's up. All right, y'all. So yeah, that's it. That's all we got for y'all today. Appreciate you guys watching, and we thank you so much for doing that. Again, this is the Mindset Matters channel where we talk about mindset topics. So if you are interested in mindset, please like and subscribe. Okay. And then if you found value out of this video, please share it with somebody. Okay. That would really help us out. All right. And so next week we'll talk about what we got here, habits. We're going to talk about habits, and so be looking out for that. Next week is going to be mainly about habits, maybe good and bad habits, and so stay tuned. But other than that, remember that mindset matters more than anything else. All right, focus on the good, focus on the good, and we'll see you guys next time. Tom and Zach.